Okay, so we've got a bat, we've got a ball. We of course now need some blocks. Now we're going to paint a block here, and I'm going to choose green. I'm going to take a rectangle. Again, try and get this in the middle, and we'll have something. I think a block around about that size should do the job. Once again, it is only when I click on scripts that the block will then magically appear. Once again, calling it sprite 1 is silly, so we will call it green, and I'm going to call it block. Now, just a kind of good practice for if you ever go into programming in the future. You can't use spaces, so when you want to put two words together, sometimes it's good just to capitalize the first letter in each of the words. It just makes it a little bit easier to read. Now, in the old version of Scratch, what you had to do was, if you had 50 green blocks on your screen, you would have to make 50 different sprites. And whilst that was possible, it was very, very dull. In this version of Scratch, you don't have to do that. We're going to do something, we're going to use something called the clone function. So, let's think about this logically. When my game starts, I kind of want my green block, maybe on the first green block, to be over here somewhere. And we can see by looking at the X and Y, if I just head to the middle of that, that's kind of minus 224 and 7. Okay, let's just do this. When the green flag is clicked, we're going to say motion, go to, and I will change that a little bit. Let's make that minus 220, and let's make that a 0. And if I press the green flag, the green block will move just slightly. There it is. Okay, now, what we want to do is the following. We want to clone this block going across the screen. Now, once again, just like I did with the adding the random angle to the ball, at this moment in time, I want you guys to do something that will make life a little bit easier for you to understand in about 7 or 8 videos time. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to clone this block. So we're thinking about the position of it. It's always going to be 0 on the Y. But I would like you to clone this block across a number of times. But I would like you to leave quite a big gap between each of the blocks. What I'm trying to get at is this. I don't really want the ball kind of hitting 2 blocks at the same time. This may, long term, this won't be an issue. You can have the ball hitting 2 blocks at a time. But for the moment, I just want to make sure that we don't cause ourselves a problem, because I want to make this first breakout build quite straightforward. And to do that, it's nice to be safe and make sure that a ball cannot hit 2 blocks at the very exactly same moment in time. So what I'm trying to say is this. We want to make a copy, then we want to leave a gap, so our next block sort of starts out. So maybe the middle will be about here, which I see as x minus 170. So that's kind of like a difference of 50 pixels. And so the next one will be x minus 120, and then x minus 70, and then x minus 20. And so we're going to copy it all the way across. But every time we copy it, we want this box to change. And the way to do that is to use something called a variable. Now I'm going to create this, and I'm just going to do it, and then as I start going through it, you're going to get a better handle about what this variable is doing. So just bear with me. At first you might think, what's it doing? It'll make sense, trust me. I'm going to make a variable, which I am going to call green. I won't call it green block, we'll call it green X position. There we go, even spelt it all right. Don't worry about the fact that you've got these options here. We're going to just say for all sprites, that's fine, just for this one. I think it should be for this one, it doesn't matter, just press OK. Now when you create a variable, it triggers all of these boxes to appear, and this is going to make sense to you shortly, don't worry. But it also puts it on the screen, and we don't want it on the screen, we don't need to have it displayed, so we're going to tick this box here. You tick it, it becomes visible. You don't tick it, it disappears. Useful if your variable is a score or number of lives or a timer, or in that case you want to see them. But we don't want to see it, so we're going to say goodbye to it. Now, a slightly smarter way of doing this is if we say set green X position to minus 220, we can then do that. So if you think about it logically, when the green flag is clicked, you're creating a variable, you've got a variable which you're setting to minus 220, and when you click, when you oh, look, well, it doesn't make any difference because it was already there. But if I were to change that to say minus 200, press green, the block moved across 20 pixels. I actually do want it at minus 220. So that's fine. Now, here comes the task. What we want to do is we want to, let's press green, there we go. We want to create a number of blocks going all the way across. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not too sure how many we're going to need, but that doesn't matter for the task, because what you're going to need is to create a clone, change the X position, create a clone, change the X position, create a clone, change the X position, create a... You can see what we're going. I've just repeated the same thing 4 times. And the reason why I've repeated it the same thing 4 times is because you're going to need a repeat function. You are going to need then to change... Actually, hold on. We're going to... Yeah, we're going to change the X position by... I think it was 50 each time, wasn't it? And then we're going to need to create a clone. Now it says of myself. At the moment, there are actually different options. I could choose green block. It's the same thing as myself, but I don't want to make a clone of the ball or the paddle. Okay? And then, of course, you need to tell it where to go to. So, those are the blocks that you're going to need. You can change that 10, you can change that 1, you could change that from being a number to maybe being a variable. Why don't you do that? And if you can't do it, if you struggle with it, there's a video solution winging its way to you very shortly.